The voice of sharing Durian ASEAN.
ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Good morning, this is Arlene and you are listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing. Today is our Monday morning where we bring you news from Southeast Asia. First stop, Singapore leaders to pay last respect to late Johor Prince. Tunku Jalil was well loved for his compassion, his charitable work for the Johor community and the police, and his passion for the environment and animals. Hence, Singapore leaders will go up to Johor and pay their last tribute to the late Tunku Jalil. And Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong and Minister to Foreign Affairs Vivian Balakrishnan sent condolence letters to Sultan Ibrahim Ismail as well. And according to Lee Hsien Loong and Vivian Balakrishnan, on the letter that they wrote, it stated that Ho Ching and I are deeply saddened by the passing of your beloved son. We convey our heartfelt condolences to you, Raja Zarif, and your family. Tunku Jalil was well loved for his compassion and his charitable work. He recalled him telling the Prime Minister of Singapore that about remembering fondly as a young humble prince who is so about his work with the Singapore Zoo and his walks in the botanical garden. He will always be remembered fondly as a young humble prince who so readily loved and served his people. Their thoughts are with the Johor royal family and the people of Johor during this difficult period. His caring and concern towards the less fortunate also touched the hearts of many Johorians. He will be missed dearly, state Dr. Balakrishnan. He also said that my thoughts and heartfelt sympathies are with you, your family, and the people of Johor in this period of bereavement. Another news on politics. ASEAN, not TPP, main priority, according to MITI Minister Mustapa Muhammad. The ASEAN Economic Community will still remain the main priority for Malaysia, although the country has decided to join the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or short for TPP, as mentioned by International Trade and Industry Ministry. Its minister, Datuk Sri Mustapa Muhammad, said ASEAN would still be number one on the country's list in terms of economy and politics. Malaysia has already established free trade agreement with most countries involving in the TPP discussions. ASEAN would be the principal for Malaysia. Malaysia priority is still to be aligned with ASEAN, he said when speaking to varsity students at the National Undergraduate Leadership Conference in Kuala Lumpur. Mustapa said ASEAN consisted of 10 countries, while TPP had 4 countries out of 12 countries that were important to Malaysia, namely the United States, Canada, Mexico, and Peru. We are all attracted to countries which do not have FTA yet. Another focus on ASEAN, evaluating Malaysia's ASEAN chairmanship. Malaysia ended its chairmanship of ASEAN as the grouping announced the establishment of the ASEAN Economic Community in November 2015. Though 10 countries have signed onto a framework that intends to direct the movement of skilled labor in the region, actual movement remains subject to the policies of individual nations Ordinary people are yet to acknowledge the ASEAN initiatives have resulted in higher income and more job opportunities. Malaysia has failed to meet expectation that it would be able to achieve some consensus on the South China Sea issues between ASEAN countries and China. In the last few years, Southeast Asia has also witnessed rising nationalistic sentiments that may again slow down the process of deeper integration. Still, Malaysia continues to try to make its mark. Malaysia has been praised for engaging the private sector more deeply with regional policy makers. On another hand, regarding on the news, in Myanmar, U.S. prepares to amend Myanmar trade sanctions. The United States is preparing to amend sanctions on Myanmar after banks complain they can't finance trade that goes through the nation's main port terminal because it is run by a blacklisted business tycoon. The administration is keen to promote economic growth with the country also known as Burma, which recently held landmark elections, but its fix could draw criticism from U.S. lawmakers and human rights groups. It would mean giving the green light to banks to process transactions related to trade that passes through a container port terminal in the main city of Yangon that is run by Stephen Law, the son of a deceased heroin kingpin. He heads one of the Myanmar's largest conglomerates, Asia World, that flourished under the former ruling junta. Myanmar is the throes of a historic transition to a civilian-led government after 5 decades of military domination. The November 8th election passed off smoothly, with the opposition party of Aung San Suu Kyi, who spent 15 years under house arrest during the junta's rule. We move on to a news from Singapore. PAP plans to build on last-term work as it looks to the future. This is according to Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong outlining the party's plan for the future and speaks about leadership transition. Speaking at the People Action Party convention attended by about 1,500 party members at the Singapore Expo, Mr. Lee, who is also the party's Secretary General, said the election win was down to 3 factors: the hard work put in by members of parliament and activists, the PAP government's policy changes and plans for the future, and a strong sense of Singapore's identity. But Mr. Lee warned that the next election will be a new fight and that Singaporeans will judge the PAP not only on its past achievements but also on its future agenda. The PAP government will be able to carry out a smooth leadership succession, transform the country and society, and transition to a new phase of Singapore's development. Mr. Lee said that I have been able to gather a new team to reinforce my team. There is now time for them to get and to take over the reins well before the election after next year. We move on to a country on our northern region, which is Thailand. Thailand says looking for 4 Syrians amid Islamic State warning. Thailand said on Sunday that it was looking for 4 Syrian nationals who have overstayed their visas, as the country is on high alert after a Russian warning of possible attacks. The warning prompted Thailand to step up security around potential targets, including the cities of Pattaya and Phuket, both popular with tourists and home to large Russian expatriate communities. However, the Immigration Bureau said the 4 Syrian men being sought had entered Thailand between April and October, not in the time frame specified by Russian intelligence. Of the 4 who are accounted for, we may just want to locate them to charge them for overstaying. That is all, according to the Immigration Bureau Commissioner Nathrom Prasunthom. So whether it is really about an attack or possible attack by Islamic State or not, apparently is still a big question mark. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll discuss on the economic side of Southeast Asia.
ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Good morning, this is Arlene Yao, still with me on ASEAN Daily. This time I will discuss on the economic side of Southeast Asia. We focus on Vietnam. It is lacking 500,000 of IT professionals by 2020. This is a report that has made a research about Vietnam's human resource. Vietnam is forecasted to face a serious shortage in information technology manpower in the next 5 years, according to a recent report prepared by local recruitment company Vietnam Works. For the last 3 years, the annual supply for IT human resources has grown at 8% on average, outstripped by the average 47% growth rate of demand in IT jobs yearly, the firm has elaborated. If the situation persists, Vietnam will face a serious dearth of IT talent in the coming years, the Vietnam Headhunter said in a report released on November 26. According to the report, the number of IT companies has increased 69% compared to 2012. But the number of software firms in the particular category has risen 124% over the course of last 4 years. On another news, in Thailand, the Thai monarchy and its money. This is a news reported by one of the top American news online, the Crown Property Bureau, which manages the Thai royal family's properties and investments, controls assets that may amount to as much as 1.9 trillion baht, about 53 billion. It is the biggest corporate group in the country and one of the biggest landholders in the capital. It is also one of the more mysterious arms of the Thai government. The agency was created in 1936 and remained under civilian supervision until 1948, a period of ascendancy to royalists, when control was handed to the crown. Little is known about how it spends its money. It does not make its financial statements public. 6 of its 7 managers are appointed by the king. Although the finance minister chairs its board, the government exercises no oversight over its operations. We'll take a short break. When we return, we will discuss on the arts and culture side of Southeast Asia.
ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Good morning, this is Arlene. You're returning back on our arts and culture side of Southeast Asia. First up, we move on to New Zealand. Malaysian diplomat Muhammad Rizalman defecated outside woman's house as part of black magic. A Malaysian military man believed in black magic, including a spell that meant if he defecated outside a woman's house, she would in fact fall in love with him. This is according a court hearing. Rizalman has changed his plea on the morning of his trial on Monday on one charge of indecently assaulting Tanya Billingsley on May 10, 2014, following the attack in her home in Wellington, suburb of Brooklyn. Burston said it was the reason that he took off his belt and lower his trousers and underpants outside of the young woman's front door on the patio. It was more about black magic than about having to go to the toilet in an emergency. Rizalman said no, but admitted he believed in black magic and that a superior officer has put a spell on him. Burston also asked about Rizalman's on going into Cosmic Corner on Cuban Saints on May 2 and buying synthetic cannabis. Rizalman admitted he had, but would not admit that he has used it. He said that he could not remember asking two women working there if that they had boyfriends or wanted to go for a drink. Burston asked if he remembered one of the women asking him to leave her alone, and a male staff remember having to usher him from the shop. He said he did not. The Crown prosecutors also asked him about going to Mermaid's Bar in Courtenay Place twice when he felt under pressure. He said he went to listen to music and release tension. Another woman was followed by him in a car after she saw him staring at her through a shop window only the day before he went to Bingsley's home. Rizalman denied wanting to have sex with the shop assistants or the girls at Mermaids. He left New Zealand without facing trial after Malaysia invoked diplomatic immunity in the belief it did so with the blessing of the New Zealand government. He returned to New Zealand escorted by police after extradition hearings were filed in Malaysia. At the time of the attack, he has been working at the Malaysian High Commission as a staff assistant to the Malaysian Defence Advisor. Alleged victim Tanya Billingsley waived her right to name suppression before a district court judge. Two other charges of assault with intent to commit sexual violation and burglary were discharged by Justice David Collins. On another news in Singapore, well, great news because World Cup winner Ronaldinho to set up football academy in Singapore. The Samba superstar will sign a memorandum of understanding with five-time Saint League Championship, Tampines Rovers FC, and International Football Group to establish his Ronaldinho Football Academy here. According to the Football Association of Singapore, the Brazilian star will sign a memorandum with five-time Saint League Championship Tampines Rover FC and International Football Group to establish what we see as something that a lot of Malaysians and Singapore would probably look forward towards. Ronaldinho will also take the opportunity to demonstrate an e-scooter he is endorsing during the MOU signing on December 10 before heading to ITE College Central for a meet and greet session the next day, according to a press release. That's all from us today. Thanks for listening to Durian ASEAN. We look forward to hear from you on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And of course, you can always listen to us on the go via your mobile by downloading the Durian ASEAN app or log on to your desktop or laptop at durianasean.com. Thank you.